you were almost a damn bull multiple times. Like, I feel like I've been teased my entire life that you could have been wearing the black and red.
Jerry Krause tried his best to get me to be in a Bulls uniform on several different occasions. It just never worked out.
What's the one that you think of first? I mean, we know the one that we think of first because it was legendary, but then there's the others that have come out. So tell us about Jerry trying to get you.
Yeah, well, the legendary one was trying to trade for a 18-year-old high school kid for Scottie Pippen, which was, to me in itself bizarre. I remember before draft, the night of the draft, I get a call at 12 o'clock at night, and it's my agent, and he tells me to get dressed, I have to go and take a physical. They have a clinic that we're going to, and we drove about 45 minutes outside of Charlotte, and they take me in the back of this clinic. I get a physical, and, he tells me it's for the Bulls. I may be traded for Scottie Pippen on draft night. I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, it was just such a surreal feeling that I possibly could have been a freaking Bull and teaming up with Michael Jordan. But at the time, I thought MJ, when they did nix the trade, I thought it was MJ that did that. But I got close to a reliable source and said it was Jerry Reinsdorf that did it.
It's funny. Jerry Reinsdorf came on our radio station after that story made the rounds, and he was like, "No, it wasn't MJ. It was him." Like he felt the need to go first person. Like, and Jerry Reinsdorf does not do interviews anymore.
Right.
Like, it was bizarre. So, like, have you ever talked to MJ about that?
No, never.
Interesting.
Nope. I never even talked to Scottie about it. We worked with ESPN together. I just never brought it up.
Huh. And then the free agent recruitment.
See, that's the thing. When you said the legendary time, I thought you were going to say, for us, because we knew about it, was when Benny the Bull and everybody, there was a small band playing Sweet Home Chicago. There's the Lovables cheerleaders. Yeah. When everybody meets you at the airport. Was there any part of you at that point? So that's a few years after the draft then, Tracy. Is there any part of you at that point that thought, this is ridiculous? This is over the top?
No, I didn't think it was ridiculous. I actually was very appreciative that he went, Chicago Bulls went above and beyond of trying to recruit me. I mean, I loved every bit of it. It's just they were recruiting against Orlando, which is where I grew up. You understand? And that's a tough recruitment to go over and to steal me away from that. I was so fixated on going to play at home in Orlando because I grew up watching Nick Anderson, Penny, and Shaq. Like, as a high school kid, I drove by the arena every summer. Like, that's where I wanted to play ball, and to have that opportunity to play there, and then it presented itself at that time in 2000, I couldn't pass that up. So that was the only reason, why I chose to go home and not sign with the Bulls.
What was so we know about Benny the Bull at the airport. You said they pulled out all the stops. Like, can you take us behind the scenes of what else Chicago did to try to get you?
Yeah, so I get to my hotel room, and they pop in a tape, and I'm sitting down, and it's a personal message from Oprah. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, Oprah is talking to me and recruiting me. She's a part of this whole thing. So I thought that was pretty cool to have Oprah, send me a personal message and recruited me for the Bulls, and then to go to the Cubs game, saying take me out to the ball game. That's legendary. That's, always remember that, just growing up and being a baseball fan and just seeing Harry Carey and, those moments. So that was pretty cool. And sitting in the dugout, man, talking to Ernie Banks, never forget that moment. So, those two right there really stuck out, and I will always remember those moments right there.
By your sixth year in the league, you're only 23 years old. You lead the league in scoring, and you're averaging 32 a night. But what I don't think people, and so I think people know that about you, and I think that they know, two-time scoring champion and all of that. But what I think gets lost in the context of that accomplishment is teams were only averaging 95 a night then, man. Like, you averaged 32 in a terrible offensive era, like a historically bad offensive era of NBA basketball. So my question is, how the hell were you able to do that?
I put a lot of work in, guys. I mean, honestly, put a lot of work in. I studied film. I studied my opponents. You know, and it's funny that you say that because I had this conversation with some of my guys. Like, the score could be 75, 76, and, like, I would have 40 points.
Right.
35 to 40 points. Like, it was crazy of some of those scores back then. You're absolutely right. Offensively, like, it was probably one of the worst eras, but defensively, it was a challenge. Like, you had to, you had to be a dynamic player to be able to sustain that night in and night out against some of those defenses because we played with two traditional bigs. It's not like it is today where you have all five guys on the court can shoot or you got four guys that can shoot the ball. You maybe had one in a possible back then. And that's why the paint was so closed in and it was tough on an offensive player to get to the cup.
So if you could average 32 in that era, what are you averaging today?
I will put myself at 38 to 40 points.
So
because you got to think,
yeah,
that's 32. That's 32 points, and probably only average 5 threes a game.
Well, that's today. You are 42 years old, though, right, Tracy? So I mean, so you're saying you scored 38 at age 42, right?
No. Listen, I could get you 10 to 12 points. All I got to do is run 3-point line to 3-point line. I could do that now.
Yeah, right.
Right, but that will sound, like hyperbolic. But I really don't think it is. And I think, like, if, like, era adjusted, man, like, you made the Hall of Fame, but you're still underrated. And because no one was doing offensively what you were doing in the early 2000s. No one did it.
No. I mean, I had to, though, in order for my team just to make the playoffs. I had to put up numbers like that. You got to think, I was, planning to play with Grant Hill in Orlando, but we all know he had his ankle injury. So,
right.
Back then you didn't have 3 and 4 stars on one team. You had maybe 1 or 2, and that was it. It was a different league back then. So we was kind of, had our hands tied behind our back with Grant not being in our lineup. It was tough.
Man, we had so much fun watching you and Yao together and dreaming about you and Yao Ming, if both healthy and at your best come a postseason, like what could possibly happen? I mean, do you ever think about that? Is that the best opportunity you ever had to get a title when you and Yao were rolling?
Yeah, I think the year that my knee blew out, we could have contended for a championship, which was probably the best team that I would have been on my entire career, which is I think it was one year when we got Ron Artest to join our team in Houston. And that was the year that I tried to come back from knee surgery, and I was just damaged goods. I was not the player that I was prior to that. And then, my championship aspiration, my dreams were shattered because I was never healthy after that. And it was just, we signed Ron Artest a little bit too late, but that would have been a championship contending team had I been healthy that year.
Do you have fun playing with Yao? It seemed like he was such a trip. And when you traveled with him, there's got to be a moment, Tracy, where you're like, "Oh my God, Yao Ming, this is a global sensation." Like that was a different level of fame, wasn't it, for Yao Ming?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, he's larger than life. When you talk about having a whole freaking country of China, a continent on your back. I mean, it was a sight to see. He's a gentle giant, but the way he just handled having all that pressure on his shoulders was amazing to watch. I remember going to China with him back in 2004. It was the first China games that the NBA had over there, and we played the Sacramento Kings. And just to see, attention that he got from, the Chinese fan base was, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I remember a regular season game. We were playing in Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee had drafted another Chinese kid. And just a regular season game, they gave us the numbers after that. It was like, I think over 250 million people watched that game. Like, that's the type of impact he had on the league. We're talking about more people watching a regular season NBA game than a Super Bowl. Like, that's what Yao brought to the game. So I couldn't believe that.
That is ridiculous. Do you think, like, your career is incredible? I mean, you made the Hall of Fame, an all-timer by any accounts. But do you think about whether it's the injuries or, like, that situation with Yao or with Grant, like, the trade to the Bulls? I know there was this report that you could have been traded to the Lakers also, and you could have been with Kobe and Shaq. Like, do you have regrets or what ifs, or like do you ever think about what could have been if the fork in the road, just like luck, things out of your control, would have went a different way?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think about that stuff. There's a lot of what ifs, pertaining to my career. Like, what if I would have stayed in Toronto with Vince and that team, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I would have stayed there, who knows what would have happened. But again, no one knew that Grant was going to be out my entire career in Orlando. Like, no one knew that. I was super excited. I think everybody was excited. Like, T-Mac and Grant teamed up, and what I became as a player, and to have a healthy Grant Hill, we're talking in the Eastern Cup. We're talking playing for a championship. I mean, I took the number one seeded team to 7 games without Grant, right? So I think about it all the time, for sure.
It's an interesting spot. We were thinking earlier too, the dunk contest with you and Vince. Like, it did seem like, even if you never played one-on-one, the highlights that you guys were able to be a part of just must have been like, what we saw publicly was amazing, but you must have seen some pretty incredible things behind closed doors.
I've seen a lot of crazy things behind closed doors. I mean, even in game with this guy. That's why I didn't want to get into that damn slam dunk contest, because why am I getting into something that I know I'm not going to place first? Like, I know I'm not going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, what part of me is going to I'm allowing myself to enter into a contest where I know I can't win. That's not me. that's not me. That's not my personality and my mentality. But he begged me so freaking much and so long. Come on, cuz, every single day, man, you got to get in it, bro. You got to get in it. You have to, every day. And finally, I just bit the bullet. It was like, all right, man, I'll get in. Like, because I know what you can do. I'm your cousin. I'm your teammate. I see you doing dunks every day that I can only dream of doing. I'm a pretty athletic guy, but when it comes to creative dunking, I'm not on your level. I don't want to get in this dunk contest and place second or third. So no, it was pretty cool, man. I knew what the outcome was going to be. As you see from the first dunk, it was like, oh hell, good luck, who's coming after him? But it was a great time, though.